The amazing thing is when I started learning poetry, it had nothing to do with trying to increase my memory. It's simply because I did a film biography of Heward Stikeman, the eminent Montreal lawyer, and he, talking about his grandmother, said that she had gone to support the cause of the USS Constitution, which the Navy proposed to scuttle, and about which Oliver Wendell Holmes wrote the wonderful poem called Old Ironsides, which ends with the words, "Nail to the master holy flags, threadbare sail, and give her to the god of storms, the lightning and the gale." And he said this extempore, and I asked him how many poems he knew, and he said 30, maybe 50. And I was ashamed because I was 55 years old and I didn't know a single poem. And you know, both my grandfather and my stepfather knew poetry, and I fancied that I was a bit cultured, and here I couldn't even recite 2 verses. So I decided I was going to learn poetry by heart. So, and I really did it all wrong. I wanted to learn the Cyrano de Bergerac poem about the nose, this 70-verse monologue, and I put it in my coat jacket pocket, and 2 weeks later rather, I hadn't learned 10 lines. And so I said, well, there's got to be some better way. So I put it on the surround of my bathroom sink, and every time I worked out of the house, so every time I went into the bathroom I would think poetry, and after a couple of weeks it started to sink in. But anyways, I continued learning poetry, and then I went back to more simple poems. Like for instance, a doctor for mere lucre performed an unnecessary operation, making my nose almost as crooked as himself. Another, for a similar reason, almost blinded me. A poet famous for his odes of love and renunciation toils at the seduction of my wife, and the men who would have me killed are legion. Only once have I been bitten by a dog. Well, that's an wonderful little Irving Layton poem. And there are tons of poems. Here's dear old Boston, the home of the bean and the cod, where the cabots speak to the lodges and the lodges speak only to God. I mean, you know, that's pretty easy. Well, once you get started, it becomes a lot easier. And the rule is to do 5 minutes a day, and I'll come back to that in a minute. I found after 7 years that I was developing a photographic memory of sorts, you know. And 5 years after that, I realized that my memory had tripled, and I was stunned. I was even more stunned because not only my long-term memory had increased immeasurably, but my short-term memory came back with a vengeance. I could remember the phone numbers I couldn't remember 15 years ago. I mean, I could retain new phone numbers. And I had less of a problem remembering people's names, and so it really came as a shock. And what I tried to do was to understand the significance of that in light of the fact that everybody over 50 is concerned about diminishing memory. And I found the significance to be the following. Number one, everybody over 50 is concerned about decreasing memory. Number two, if I could triple my memory after 50, anybody else can, given a level playing field. And why is it that memory decreases? Well, it's very simple. Memory is like a muscle, and if you don't train it, it deteriorates. And no one trains his memory after school or after university. Do you know anybody who does? I don't. So if you train it, it works. I mean, it's just like a muscle, so it's absolutely amazing. And I'm convinced that so back to the 5-minute rule, if you do 5 minutes a day, you've done it, and you'll always feel good about yourself. If you do 15 minutes, that's better. If you do half an hour, that's great. And if you do an hour, that's fantastic. Well, compare that to learning Italian in 90 days. You start off, you're all gung-ho, and you study an hour a day, and you might go on for 10 days like that, but inevitably something comes up, and you stop and you don't start again. Whereas the 5-minute rule can become an iron rule, because there's no excuse not to do 5 minutes a day. You can do it in bed, you can do it in the bus, you can do it in the bathroom, you can do it in the kitchen. You know, so you do that, and you'll find that, as I say, it'll become an iron rule, and believe me, your memory will increase dramatically, and you will have joined the club of people over 50 who have tripled their memory. So I look forward to the next time we speak. Bye.